Hey, I'm Hannah,
And I'm Olivia,
and welcome to Nervy.
where wellness meets weirdness.
Woo! Let's get into it.
What are we into today?
So, this week we're talking about Skinny Talk.
Oof.
Yeah. If you haven't explored it or it hasn't hit your For You page, I don't know if I recommend exploring it.
No need to bring this into your algorithm.
Exactly. But if it has by any chance, then you've probably seen a slew of people pitching products for weight loss, ballerina-esque workouts,
Mm.
talk of restriction and diet culture, all of the above.
And often harmful, in case you couldn't tell.
Yeah, it's terrible advice many a time, or a completely fake product that really will have no impact or is unhealthy or creating weight loss in a really scary way.
Jeez.
Highly unnatural. So I was thinking about this because in the advent of social media and the internet, weight loss content has always had a home
Yeah.
because it's been in the marketing sphere primarily toward women for decades upon decades.
Hmm.
I feel like one of the more well-known examples of this was with Tumblr, for those who remember that platform.
Yes.
There was what was called Pro Anna
Hmm.
Tumblr.
I remember this. This just unlocked.
It was an abbreviation for pro anorexia, but it was coded under Pro Anna, and it became this kind of code speak that girl to girl knew what it meant. It was a lot of, girls posting really thin photos or their disordered eating routines. Anyway, that I feel like has morphed into what is today known as Skinny Talk. It's
Mm.
just different platform, but same sort of content coming from creators who may have disordered eating patterns themselves.
Yeah.
The problem is, and I was thinking about this too, there's no real prevention on these platforms of this hitting your algorithm.
Right.
And unlike something which I think is interesting, like music, which when sold in a physical form had parental advisory on it
Mm.
and required a parent to approve,
Wow.
internet content is just fluid and unprotected. So anything could come across your algorithm.
Yeah, and of course, it's very easy for vulnerable people, especially kids, to make up a birthday, create an account, and have this kind of unlimited access to harmful material.
Totally, and you just have no control over what will and won't surface to you, and you also could be in a vulnerable place where you question when it is served to you, oh, do I have this problem? And that takes you down its own entire spiral when you may never have
Yeah.
even had the issue to begin
Absolutely.
with. So this got me diving back into when are the first real marketing touch points that weight loss has been marketed to women?
Hmm.
How does it go pre-social media? Because if you think about like early 90s culture, which is when, I was growing up as a millennial, there were just tabloids, magazines that glorified being really thin. There was like Slim Fast to dieting. There was like this Special K cereal that was like
I was on the Special K diet.
marketed to help women lose weight.
Hmm.
And these are all essentially marketing ploys and just a
Yeah.
way to play into women's insecurity or any person's insecurity. And so, what I could find documented was that in the late 1800s, that's sort of when diet pills made their first foray into culture.
Dang.
Yeah, and it was through some sort of like vegetable compound that was the pill. So this was prior to diet pills having like caffeine or other components that can be really dangerous. But I think the way they chose to market it was like for female troubles. So instantly, if you think about language, it's just hinting at women being at issue, just
Yeah.
existing.
A problem.
Women being a
The
problem.
women troubles.
Exactly.
Men? Are you talking about men?
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah. And it also just kind of hints at the need to control what those troubles may be, right?
Yeah,
So I think some of the early ads were in, magazines, women's magazines at that time, or, print, whatever that looked like. And then as I was like researching this, and okay, like diet pills back then are, you could argue, what Ozempic has become today.
whoa,
It's just a different form. And I want to preface this by saying I know that sometimes Ozempic is prescribed in a case where someone truly can benefit from it and it
totally.
truly can help with their diabetes concerns or whatever the case may be. However, I think there is not a lot of regulation right now on those prescriptions. And so it can also be used in a way that is really just to lose weight
Hmm.
and sometimes in a dangerous fashion. So, anyway, parallel had me there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other parallel that I thought of, something else that was really popular in the 1800s and early 90s that was marketed only to women, corsets. Modern day version, waist trainer.
Girl, yeah.
So, this is again something that was created to claim that we had a problem. Your waist isn't small enough. You need to make it look a certain way. We saw a huge rise of this. I mean, it's probably been 10 years since waist trainer made its way into social media mainstream. And
Hmm.
I think the Kardashians even like were promoting and had some of their own products of that at that time.
Yeah,
Regardless, it's the same thing being sold and marketed in a different way, but for the same problem that plays into the insecurities of women over lifetimes.
totally. That's a lot.
It's a lot. So in terms of like what Skinny Talk I think looks like now, it's a lot of, pitching these sort of products. It's a lot of what I eat in a day, but in a rather unhealthy way.
There's also this chain or this strand of the Skinny Talk videos that is like negative affirmations.
Oh, wow, I haven't seen this. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's either insulting you to make you
yeah.
feel less worthy, and playing into that kind of dangerous headspace you might be in, or it's like these little phrases that are supposed to stick with you when you're feeling hungry. And again, they're
Mm.
just harmful. It's really sad.
Right. The problem with Skinny Talk and a lot of the culture that it promotes is that it takes certain wellness practices, like, let's say, for example, creating a mantra that
Mm,
you utilize throughout your day to bring yourself like into a positive headspace and good energy, tilts that and deforms it and makes it something negative that you're repeating to yourself to get yourself in this mindset that you're not good enough, not reaching whatever weight goal it is. And it just becomes this like negative reel of self-talk
yeah,
that you're repeating over and
restrictive.
over. That's very restrictive and detrimental. But it started with what could be a good tool, but it takes that tool and makes it really dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all that to say, Skinny Talk, definitely a dangerous place. In general, I think there's just so much pressure from social media. It may be even more magnified than it ever has been in terms of women's looks and perceptions. I mean, we're even seeing this week with the discussion around Kris Kardashian's facelift and
Mm,
how transformative it is. She looks 50 years younger, honestly. It's absolutely insane. I've never seen anything like it.
thought it was Kim at first.
Yeah, I
I
know.
was like, so
Totally. And there's a part of me that's like, wow, that's amazing. She looks so good. Like, how iconic. And then there's a part of me that's like, gosh, this is so terrible that this is how women age in a public way in these
hmm.
forums. And we can't be beautiful and exist in a way that is natural
Yeah.
because there is so much pressure to be youthful, slim, bright, tight, etc.
Hmm. It's true. It's true. And, I can't name a single man who's had a facelift.
Right. If they do, they're definitely not talking about it. And if anything, it's so frustrating because men tend to have like their silver fox years where they completely blow up. Pedro Pascal.
Daddy.
what's the guy, the Goggins guy,
Walter Goggins, I was thinking
Walter
him too.
Goggins.
Yeah.
Like, these are men who are middle-aged. This is never a time when women become like the it factor. And it's so unfair, but it is just the nature of our culture. All that to say, I feel like in terms of Skinny Talk, if you happen to have that show up on your page, maybe think twice about the fact that the same thing that was sold to you was sold 200 plus years ago to someone else for the same quote unquote problem, and maybe it's not a real problem after all.
No, we are here to support you. We
Right.
love you. And I think it is about supporting other women and letting us feel beautiful to be natural and how you feel healthy and yeah.
Yeah, it's a privilege to age, and it's a privilege to be you and live in a healthy body, whatever that might look like. And it's unfortunate that these platforms have taken certain wellness practices and turned them into something that's really dangerous. So it's really good to be mindful of that, whether it's your own consumption or the consumption of your child or your friends sending videos to you, whatever that might look like.
Hmm. Yeah, let's all look out for each other.
So that's it for this week's episode of Nervy. It was so fun chatting about this. I do want to shout out our sponsor, which is Hive 2.0. We're so excited to be partnered with them. They're a premium eco-conscious brand passionate about honeybees, sustainability, shaking up the drink world, which is a blend. They've got Hard Honey, which is a blend of natural sweetness and craftsmanship. It's sustainably crafted. It's delicious. Sip smart with Hive 2.0. And thanks for joining us on Nervy.
Thanks, y'all.
Stay well.
Stay weird.
Bye.